Hi guys, thanks for joining me again. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Anne, and on my channel I review foreign international content. Today I'm back to review Money Heist, but Money Heist Korea. It dropped yesterday. It's 6 episodes, an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes, 18 minutes long, and I binged watch because they released all the 6 episodes. And unless you've been under a rock, or maybe you don't use Netflix, you would know that the Money Heist series comes from Spain. It became very popular. I mean, it went international. Okay, so Korea has taken the script and they're giving it a spin on it. And I have to say, wow, I mean, it's good. I mean, obviously they had to do some things a little different because different cultures. Spanish is muy caliente, hot. And obviously Korea has to put a spin on it with a little bit, obviously with their culture, they're a little bit more modest. So I have to say, that's the one thing that was missing was with the Spanish ones, we were all like, I mean, they're making us really hot at the same time. They're this huge big crime. I felt the Korean one, maybe we had some steamy episodes, but I felt like they were really sticking to the hostages and the mission of trying to steal the money, if you will, right? Anyway, let's begin with the characters of Money Heist Korea. The first person would be the professor, who's being played by Jo Ji-tae, who, by the way, I'm also watching when My Love Blooms. He's so good in that. He's also the main character in that one. So he's the professor. He's the mastermind behind this whole money heist thing, right? So what happens is we're being told this is in the future where North Korea and South Korea, like I think, open up the borders. They're trying to work together. They want one economy. And because of that, they need to print money that can be both used in North Korea and South Korea. And now North Koreans can come to South Korea, and I'm assuming vice versa, where South Koreans can also go to North Korea. Unfortunately, what we find out is, capitalism will always be the big factor, almost like the rich will continue to get rich and the poor continues to get poor. And hence, that's why the professor sets up this money heist. It's almost like the little people get a piece of the pie, right? I mean, he always talked about it when he was a professor in school, as well as the government has also approached him because they're like, we can put the capital in, but we also need an economic plan. So they're asking him for assistance with this. It's almost like South Korea doesn't trust North Korea. So it's almost like we need to make sure that we're looking out for our interests. So that's why they have the professor. And the person really who approaches him is the inspector's husband, who they're about to go into a divorce. And he is also wanting to run to be the next president. And we meet the character of the inspector. Her name is Sun Woo. And we also notified that the professor and Sun Woo have a romantic relationship, which clearly is going to play a part with how does the professor keep the plan going. And now him and the inspector are involved romantic. And you can tell he's falling in love with her. That's gonna be a problem, Professor, because all your plans have been pretty tight, but all you need to do is include a woman and men. Lord have mercy, right? I'm like, oh, no. That inspector is gonna find out that it's you. But for now, good luck, right? Here, I'm hoping that obviously in part 2, we're gonna get more information about that. I'm worried that the inspector would definitely start to pick up on that the professor may be involved in this heist, right? Anyway, and then in the process of all this, we have this wonderful characters. Let's start off with Berlin. And by the way, they all have names out of different countries. That's how the professor set it up. He's like, we don't want to know each other's name. The less we know about each other, the better. And obviously the plan for the professor is we're going to not only steal money, we're going to print the money that we need, billions of Korean money, and then disappear. And apparently when you print your own, because it's not registered money, it will be hard for them to track it down, right? So we have Berlin, who is from North Korea. And by the way, he's the character from Squid Game. If you watch Squid Game, you need to watch that. If you love Money Heist, you're gonna love Squid Game. And he is like, grew up where he lost his mom at a young age. He's in jail all his life, and let's just say he is ruthless. He will kill anything and anybody, right? And then the next person we introduce, Rio, who I love. His family wants him to become a doctor, but as soon as he sees blood, he's just throwing up. But he's very good at computer hacking, and that's why he joins the crew. And then we've got Nairobi, one of my favorite names. I grew up in Kenya, so I'm biased. One of my favorite cities, Nairobi. She goes by Nairobi, and she is like a badass, sexy girl involved in counterfeit. Apparently, she's been involved in a lot of like crimes, con artist, really. And then obviously we have Tokyo, who I love. By the way, her story, she's from North Korea, was part of the army, loved BTS, by the way. I'm glad that they threw BTS on there. And so she is really good with the gun because she learned being in the army how to use her gun, and she is badass too, right? And I thought it was interesting that she chose the name Tokyo because I would like to do bad things. And I'm like, is that how the Koreans look at Japan? Japan does bad things? I got the feeling that that was a inside joke between Koreans and Japan. So the Japanese like to do bad things? Who knows? And then we have Denver, who I loved. He was more like, he's a street fighter, but let's just say he's not always very smart. And then his father, Moscow, who obviously raised Denver and always felt like he let his son down because he got him into crime. He's also very good in mining, and that's why they brought him in, because they're gonna dig a tunnel so they can get out of there once they print all the money they need. And then we have Oslo and Helsinki, and they're known to be fixers. So they are really acting like your security guard when the real heist starts. And so what happens is they do a lot of homework. The professor gets together with them. They've analyzed everything. The professor will be outside. He's not gonna come into that bank, and he's gonna be watching from the outside. And they've done their homework. They're ready to go, and they go and heist the bank. Once again, they're not there to get the money. They're there to print the money. And the workers who are left there, and then there was a school that had come for like a tour. Everybody who was in there are all held hostage. They're given this red suits to wear with masks, and really they use the hostages as their workers. You gotta go downstairs and print the money, print the money, print the money, print the money. And then you got Moscow, who's busy drilling a tunnel so that once they get all their money together, then they're gonna sneak out through this tunnel so that the police, who's already standing outside because they know the bank has been held in hostage, will not catch them. And really the way the professor set it up is that they are hoping that nobody is hurt. They don't want anybody to get hurt. They just want to print their money and get out of there. The inspector, Sun Woo, Chan Moo, and so they have to work together to try and resolve this hostage situation. And it was interesting how like North Korea is like, what are we waiting for? Get in there. I don't care who gets hurt. Just let's stop this. We need to kill these people and stop them from stealing money. And South Korea, who I'm getting is a little bit more ahead, is like, look, we don't do it that way. The point is we're gonna try and see if we can negotiate, and so there's least people hurt and we're able to catch them. So obviously there's a clash of South Korean inspector and North Korean inspector just because it's different. But as it progresses, I'm just happy to see how like they start to see each other for who they are, and their different cultures. That was good to see. And then obviously, like I said, there's that complication between Professor and San-woo having a relationship. And then obviously even during the heist, we see that Rio really has a thing for Tokyo. Then we have Denver, who's also in love with this lady that worked at the bank. And that was interesting because the director of the bank is such a snake. First of all, he sleeps with her, and then he's still married and uses her over and over during the heist. Like, he knows how to use people for them to get in trouble instead of him. He's so selfish. His character was very, very interesting. But anyway, we got 6 episodes. I thought it was well done, you know, for a remake of Korea. There were some parts where I was like, would that be believable? Like, there was one scene where the inspector is like, I want to come in to make sure that nobody was killed. You told us that nobody would be killed. And that thing is aired in national TV. I'm thinking, would you air a hostage situation? God forbid something goes wrong. All these family members are gonna watch their families being massacred live. Like, that just doesn't make sense. And then she walks in the hostage situation and she's like giving orders. I'm like, you came here by yourself and the cameraman. If this, you know, thugs decided to be like, you know what, you're doing too much, they could easily beat her up and it would be a wrap or shoot her. Like, but the way she walked in, I'm like, in a normal scenario, I think there will be more humility than just like, let me see who's not killed or whatever. Like, you are in their own turf. Like, you could easily get killed. So that part was not very believable. The part that I thought was strange and also maybe not so believable was when they had thought that one cop had been killed and turns out he was not. So when they bring him out, all the other hostages are like clapping like, oh yay. I'm like, I think in a hostage situation, you would be like, why are you clapping like you're in a concert? Like, we are all, I mean, I'm glad that you're happy that he's not dead. On the other hand, it just came off a little bit like that exuberance seemed a little bit not like in a real situation. I think this will be like relieved, but not into break into, yay, you did not die. What? Yeah, that didn't seem very believable there, but all in all, I think it was really good. There was a couple sex scenes, obviously, between the professor and the inspector. That was steamy, but you could tell they did it in a South Korean way. And then there was Denver, also had a sex scene with that one lady. I was like, whoa, they're really like showing skin. Usually Korean dramas are more reserved, but I figured since they're hoping that the rest of the world is watching, maybe that's why they're pushing that envelope. But that, you know, was a little different. If you ever watch Korean dramas, they don't tend to push those sex scenes that far. But all in all, it was good. I'm looking forward to part 2. I'm assuming this was part 1 with the 6 episodes. And then I'm assuming, obviously, we're gonna get part 2 of season 1. If they're going to follow the same schedule like Money Heist Spanish version did, you know, that's kind of what they did. So I'm hoping we should get part 2 before the end of this year. But so far, so good. I'm liking it. Have you watched? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments section as usual. How would you compare the two between the Spanish one and the Korean one? I think to me, I mean, I get it. They had to adapt the story for you know, the Korean audience. Obviously, like I said, it's missing a little bit of the hotness that goes with the Spanish show, but it makes sense because it's for Korean audience. But all in all, I loved it, and I'm looking forward to part 2 of season 1. Once again, thank you so much for joining me, and give me a like, subscribe if you do like my video, and I'll see you again when I'm reviewing another excellent foreign international show. Deuces.